I really wish I was excited to talk about Audrey Horne's appearance in episode 12. But seeing Audrey standing there, so alone, so afraid, and so desperate, leaves very little excitement in me. What it leaves is a big curiosity, wanting to know what broke Audrey Horne. And to figure out what broke Audrey, all we need to do is look at the theme in episode 12. Episode 12 was all about Blue Rose.
Hey, I'm G, and this is the G-Spot.
The episode begins with Albert telling us all about Blue Rose, how it was a replacement for Project Blue Book, and it exists to look into some of the questions that arose through Project Blue Book that they never got answers to. So essentially, Blue Rose is looking into the fifth dimension, the beings that live there, and events and occurrences that have happened in our world that can only be explained by the fifth dimension. After Albert explains that to Tammy, they draft Tammy onto the Blue Rose task force and temporarily ask Diane to also work with them. The rest of this episode is about people who have had occurrences with the fifth dimension. It is about people who are already part of Blue Rose, or certainly should be part of Blue Rose. Sarah's husband was overtaken by an entity, and then that entity killed Sarah's daughter and her niece. On top of this, we know that Sarah had visions. She used to have visions of Bob. And by the looks of what happens to her in this grocery store, it seems that Sarah is still having visions, and it seems like she's having visions of Laura now. So Sarah is in the Blue Rose investigation already, investigated by Agent Cooper. And then we go to Carl. Now we know from the Secret History of Twin Peaks that Carl went missing as a child. It was about for a day. He was in the woods on a camping trip. Nobody could find them. They were searching all over the woods. And then him and two other children just suddenly appeared the next day. They couldn't remember where they went, and they also couldn't really keep track of the amount of time they were gone. They didn't think they were gone for that long. This incident with Carl and the two other children are part of the Blue Rose investigation. We also see Dougie Cooper. Dougie Cooper is Blue Rose's current investigation. That's what they're looking into right now. And Dougie was trapped for 25 years. He has had one of the more severe encounters with the fifth dimension and is still paying the price for it, living out this wacky life as a different person. Some things that we see that are not currently a part of the Blue Rose investigation are Jerry in the woods. We know Jerry's being manipulated by a being from a higher dimension. And in case if you were wondering if this is Jerry finally free from being manipulated and trying to run home as quickly as possible, as you could see, Jerry is still not okay. Then at the end of the episode, we hear that Angela is missing. And Angela being missing is no doubt connected to these events of the fifth dimension. Three other people in the episode are Diane, Hutch, and Chantel. Now, their encounters with the fifth dimension are a bit different than everyone else's. They are working along with beings from the fifth dimension right now. They're trying to help the fifth dimension further their agenda. Now, outside of all these people who have had a direct experience with the fifth dimension, we get another Dr. Amp clip in this episode. Now, but remember, Dr. Amp is always talking about what the masses are blind to, how the leaders and 1% of the world are effing over the masses. Dr. Amp is always talking about what we are blind to, like we're blind to the fifth dimension. Ben returns the 315 key to Frank, and this in itself has had an occurrence with the fifth dimension. This 315 key was trapped with Cooper for 25 years. So this key counts as part of these things that have had interaction with the fifth dimension. But there's more to this meeting than this key. This meeting is where we start to get our answer as far as to what broke Audrey. What this meeting is all about is Richard. It's about Richard and the havoc and tragedy that he has spread throughout the town. We also find out from Ben that Richard has never had a father. And on top of this, at the end of this scene, Ben goes on and on about something, a green bike that his father gave him and what a great memory it is and how much it meant to him. And accenting how important a father-child relationship can be to somebody. And this highlights the statement he made earlier that Richard has never had a father. So we hear about Richard in the meeting with Ben and Frank. Then we see Miriam in intensive care in the hospital. So from there, let's jump to Audrey's big scene. Now, what's talked about in this scene between Audrey and Charlie is Billy. Audrey is in the midst of having an affair with Billy, but Billy is missing. Now, we remember Billy owned the truck that Richard ran the boy over with. We saw Andy talking to Billy kind of in the beginning of the episode, and then by the end, we see that Billy is missing. When someone opens the door at the double R and yells, "Where's Billy?" or "Has anybody seen Billy?" Billy became a victim of Richard. While Billy was talking to Andy, he let Andy know he can't let anybody know that he's talking to him. He was very nervous about being seen with Andy. So now the question becomes, why are victims of Richard and Audrey in an episode with the theme Blue Rose? Well, because Richard's victims, Billy and Miriam, have both had encounters with the fifth dimension. They've had encounters with the fifth dimension because Richard is from the fifth dimension. Richard is a fifth dimensional being. As we look at Audrey standing here alone, afraid and desperate, and we know Audrey is afraid because she needs Charlie to protect her. And we know that Audrey is desperate because she needs Charlie to protect her. And even if we overlook Charlie's physical size and imagine that even though he's small, he's still a powerful person that could provide protection, this isn't true because we see Charlie here with paperwork and deadlines. This is not a powerful man. And the fact that Audrey has turned to him for protection shows us how desperate she really is at this point. Audrey is standing alone because she has had an encounter with the fifth dimension like nobody has before. Audrey's encounter with the fifth dimension came 25 years ago when she was in intensive care and Dale violated her. Richard is from the fifth dimension because Dale is Richard's father. So in an episode that was all about Blue Rose, literally from beginning to end, everything we saw was connected to Blue Rose. We finally learned that Dale is Richard's father and that Audrey has suffered horribly ever since that assault by Dale in intensive care. It's hard for us to know exactly what Audrey's experience has been like. We know that she's afraid and we know that she's desperate. But is Dale been a continual threat to her? Is she aware that Dale is the father? Does she know that Richard is a fifth dimensional being? There's a lot of things we don't know, but we do now know that Audrey certainly qualifies to be part of the Blue Rose investigation and has not been doing well ever since her encounter with the fifth dimension 25 years ago. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead, give it a like. And if you know anyone else who watches Twin Peaks, go ahead and share the video with them. If you would like to be alerted every time I upload a Twin Peaks Unraveled video, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell, and you will be notified every time I upload a video. If you haven't seen my prior Twin Peaks Unraveled videos, go ahead and check out my Twin Peaks Unraveled playlist. There are some pretty entertaining videos in there. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.